Do you think that Kim Cattrall is getting like $5 an episode because she's basically still in the show? She's like, she refused to be on the show, and then they're like, we're gonna keep you in via text.
Man, you are obsessed.
Yeah.
You were obsessed with And Just Like That, which was our last.
So confusing.
Which was our last episode. I know, we can't get into it again.
Can I bring up a point that someone made that I thought was brilliant?
You should start your own podcast about the show.
Yeah, it would just be me being like, "Oh my god!" and then this. I need somebody to bounce things off of.
That's fine.
But I just want to say one thing, that it is strange that there's not really a narration like there used to be.
It's a totally different show.
It's like Carrie just says like, and just like that at the very end, and that's it. And that's her only narration.
I know,
it's odd.
But it's a new show. That's why.
Also, these same people were making the point, like, maybe this happens in like 2025 because like COVID's over. That fucking Shay person is just like lighting a bowl anywhere she goes with like actual marijuana burning with a lighter. Like she's not even vaping it.
Yeah, this is consuming your brain.
Yeah, that and 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days.
Well, of course. That show has consumed my life for several years now.
God, it's so good. It's giving me something in my brain that is just, it's doing something. Like there's something's going on.
Yeah, because as far as reality shows go, it's the realist. There's manipulation.
Yeah, it does seem like some of the most authentic, especially these early seasons. I don't know how it gets later, but
no, it's the same. There's manipulation by the producers. They set up situations and introduce people to stir shit. But the reactions,
like that brother that like traveled to Manila or whatever just to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those kind of things happen, but the reactions you're getting are real. There's maybe one story or two that seems like, all right, a bunch of people are in on this and this one's not real. Like there's a guy who is texting with a Russian woman, but he goes to Russia like 7 times and she never meets up with him.
Oh.
And he's a bit weird, but it seems like the whole thing seems fake.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, that show, you're watching your boat show. It's all fixed.
I know. Well, I've given up on a lot of those shows because they've gone on long enough where I've made this point 1,000 times, but they all get so aware of the show itself instead of just, being on the show. So like I was talking about it with my mom last night about RuPaul's Drag Race. I stopped watching that because all of the contestants, all of the people, they come in to the workroom with like a catchphrase. They know that that's going to be a thing. They come up with things to say during the show so that they'll make merch out of it. You know what I mean? Like they're constantly angling for what's going to happen after the show and how it's going to boost their career instead of just, I don't know, it being like a pageant sort of contest thing. I don't know. So I kind of stopped watching that. And it was so formulaic.
I get it. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's true. It's hard. It's difficult to navigate it. And even that show, because it's a reality show, but it's more of a game show and a performance show.
Yeah.
So it has more leeway for that. So the fact that you can't even stand it in a show that's, where it's kind of built for that, saying something. But the other reality shows, like the Housewives.
Oh, yeah. See, even those, they've all gotten so ridiculous.
Sorry, that's the radiator letting out its steam. It's fine. Don't be scared.
Nothing. Sorry, I just got a text from Ellie from her iPad.
Everything cool?
Oh, yeah. She was telling me an app where you can identify plants.
Botany. You should pair her up with Paul Cavalcante. He'll show her the...
Well, I'm foraging, and that's why she's sending it to me.
Oh, yeah. You're the tree expert, the plant expert. How dare somebody else come into play? No. She doesn't need to speak to anyone else about plants except for me.
She doesn't care. She never wants to go foraging with me. That's why I said it.
I'm the forest fairy.
Yeah, right. You dick.
That's my role in her life.
Yeah.
Only me. Is your Christmas tree down? Is it done?
No. I was going to do it today, but then Ellie wanted to come over, and so they both came. I got them McDonald's, and they came over. I was going to...
Mickey Don Don's.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend.
And then we're doing this, and then I might meet someone to have Slurpees.
I have a friend who worked with a guy who used to call it Mickey Don Don's, and I hate it so much. I hate the fact that it's this guy that I don't even know, and I've only heard this story through a friend, called it Mickey Don Don's.
It sounds like your thing. It sounds like some, but I guess what you're saying is that person did it in earnestness,
I
and
think
you would do it as like a silly thing.
Mickey Don Don's. I can't stand
Mickey
it.
Don Don, Mickey Don Don. It's like that Ricky Martin song.
Well, the Christmas tree is down. The season is over. The new year begins. Depression awaits.
Depression awaits. Just waiting for the snow. Have you gotten snow?
No, snow doesn't exist anymore. Everyone I talked to who has grown up in New York or this area said when they were kids, it used to snow nonstop. And now it's
global warming.
Yeah, now it barely snows 3 times a year. Nothing so far. A flurry.
Climate change, global warming, hole in the ozone.
A McFlurry is all we've had.
Mickey Don Don.
I tied it together.
You did. Good job.
I'm supposed to go
All right, let's do the show.
Well, I'm supposed to go to Maine next week, so we'll have to find time to.
Oh. Well, I'm off I don't have the kids.
All right, well, I'm flying back to Atlanta for 2 days. Leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
Then I'll be back
Again?
on Wednesday. Yeah.
Wow, are you going to do the show?
I'm going to stop by on Tuesday.
Cool.
Well, they're not doing it.
That's our day back.
Yeah, they're not doing it. You guys aren't doing it tomorrow, as you know. So I'm going to stop by on Tuesday. I'm just going back because there were people that I had planned on seeing, but I didn't hang out with. And just trying to set it up. Like people like childhood friends. Like talking about a long time ago. Haven't seen these people in a long time. One of them's moving and I'll probably never see them again.
Where are they moving to? New Zealand?
Yeah, somewhere where their wife's family is. So
why wouldn't you see them again?
Nobody's traveling to Kentucky or wherever the hell it is. Give me a break. So
yeah, there was a time when Travis, didn't know where he was going to get a job, and he was saying like there might be a place in Ohio, and I was like, ew, please no, please.
Well, I mean, I'm glad it wasn't Ohio.
Me too.
But jobs shouldn't dictate everything like that. It's a very strange phenomenon in this country. Got to go where the jobs are. I mean, I guess if
what do you do then?
Well, you choose a different career, or you alter a bit and you stay in the same career, but you figure something else out. I don't know.
But if he wants that,
then it should be a life of a loner. That's the way I viewed it. If I were to have pursued radio, unless I met someone who was like willing just to move constantly, like thinking
so many wives are willing to do that.
I don't think so.
I don't know many women broadcasters that move all around and have like husbands that just move like that. Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That the women probably aren't willing to do it. They just feel as though it's their place to do it. Well, I'm supposed to be a good wife.
If they're like a breadwinner,
Yeah. Well, radio and breadwinner rarely go together.
Not anymore.
But that was one of the things. To me, career wasn't that important. Not on that level where I was just going to move around for the job, because there are other things that come along with life than just work. So there's the surrounding things, your setting, where you live. That stuff's also important. To each their own, though, I say in this new year. Live and let be half the time. That's my New Year's resolution. Live and let be half the time. The other half, shit all over and judge people's decisions.
It's moderation. It's good.
Yeah, business as usual. We're just scaling back a bit. That's all. Okay, we can start this show, I guess.
Okay. Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ, and I am back after missing my first episode ever. And let's see if I can remember how to do this. I'm not sure if I know how to anymore.
Wow, just 1 week and you lose it?
People say it's like riding a bike. It's nothing like riding a bike. Also,
It literally is nothing like riding a bike.
I do think, and nobody's actually ever said that either. It's just a phrase that people use arbitrarily when you don't do something for a while and you come back and say, you can still do it. It's like riding a bike.
I haven't ridden a bike in a really long time. I wonder what it would be like.
I think you do have a diminished skill set when you get back on a bike. You remember the balance.
You probably do that thing where you like wiggly on the wheel, you know?
You remember the balance so you don't fall. And it is kind of interesting that just locks itself into your brain. Like walking, though. That's when you learn to walk, then you can walk and your balance is set. So the same thing with a bike, but
Yeah, but you have to learn how to walk again when you have like an accident on your legs.
Well, it depends on if it's just because your legs don't work as well as they used to, or if it's a brain injury and you actually forget and you have to retrain yourself. There's a couple different paths there.
So I wonder if you would take those people that can't walk, but you throw them on a bike and they know how to bike because they're, just like riding a bike.
Sure. That's physical therapy of the future. You should open up your own
just
practice.
Logic. All right, I'm just using the logic that you're presenting to me of riding a bike phrase.
That's your calling, physical therapist. What does she do? What's her practice? She just throws everyone on a bike. What if they never learn to ride a bike? And then you're done. You put them in a pool. Well, we'll resort to a pool.
No, they'll drown.
Well, pools seem to be like because it offers not that much
less stress on the body.
Yeah, there's resistance with not as much stress.
Right.
So that's why people like pools.
That's why that 1,000-pound sister likes the pool, because she feels lighter. I just watched a clip where she was like in a pool and they're like, she's so happy inside the pool.
Well, it's a lot of exercise. Whenever I go swimming, which is rare, I do feel it afterwards. My muscles are
it
sore.
feels good. I want to say too, that those 1,000-pound sister people, it's interesting how the one that got more healthy and has lost a lot of her weight, she has a deeper voice than when she first started on the show, when she was much larger. And the one that hasn't still has that little girl voice.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, well, people listening do.
Do they? Mm-hmm. Do they? They all watch the same television shows as you?
I don't watch the show, but they're everywhere. They're on like Facebook when you're just scrolling.
Who are they?
Around.
What is it? What's the show? What is it?
TLC, 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Okay. I didn't know that their voices changed. Are they each 1,000 pounds or together they add up?
They're they're both, or they were both like 500 pounds or something.
All right. Well, there's our reality show quota for the year. The pre-show and in the official body of work for this episode, we've mentioned reality shows. Well, not just reality.
Keep talking about 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days.
I shouldn't even say reality because you also want to talk about and just like that. We're not getting. No, we did the whole episode on it. You should start your own.
But new things are happening that are weird.
Yeah, start a podcast.
I read Michelle Obama's book.
It could be. It could.
And why is he so thin?
I'm not getting into it with you. I would like to say though, on a video shoot once, we hired this outside company, and this one guy was miking a man. He was putting a lavalier mic on him, and it wasn't working properly. And the man who was mic'd was overweight. And then the sound guy made the excuse that the mic wasn't working because the man had too much fat around his vocal cords. I said, that's not the way microphones work. It's like he was thinking, he wasn't thinking, but it was a stupid fucking excuse that the microphone picked up the vibrations and translated them through through the throat instead of actually, the spoken word that came out of his mouth.
Weird. Was he so afraid to say that his equipment wasn't working properly that he just decided that it was like some other strange phenomenon?
I guess. This guy had like a nickname too, like Slash. He's like, yeah.
This sounds like one of those guys, like one of those like those sort of not engineers as in like designing something, but those people that like put the chords together and like make sure the input, output, whatever. They're always making excuses for their own or for like something not working. You know?
I know. I'm incompetent and inept. Oh, Felix was his name. Like his
Or
name.
like, I just can't figure it out. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be incompetent. It could just be like, I just can't figure this out. But instead it's like, well, because of the fat in the vocal cords, we can't.
Well, yeah, I know what you're talking about as far as it pertains to technicians and
Yes.
engineers and things.
Oh, we're
like that.
getting feedback from the airport that's, 15 miles away. So we can't get this other wireless mic to work. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm just going to explain something that sounds highly scientific that you won't understand, and then
We're on the same frequency as police scanners.
You'll leave me alone. Felix was this guy's nickname, which is not so strange, but he said Felix, like the cat. And I said, that's your
Ew.
real name? And he said, no. I was like, okay.
What does your mom call you? Jeremy.
Yeah, some people, I don't know.
Felix, like the cat.
Guess you get into a position where you can be exposed for being a fraud, and then you can get fired, because if we go to the person who hired him, then they know. But then you say something stupid like that, which everyone knows is fake. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point, Autumn. We're not talking about incompetency.
Going off topic, though, is very consistent for this show.
Well, I don't know. I was just thinking, which you introduced this week's topic of consistency,
You're
because
welcome.
I was thinking about consistency on just the level of the podcast to begin with, because last week I didn't do the episode. I wasn't on, and it was the first time in almost 3 years. We're at 3 years, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, 3 years I haven't done an episode. You've missed many. God knows.
Not many. Maybe like less than 5.
Maybe 5. Maybe it's 4.
Maybe 5.
You're right. Then.
No more than 5.
Sure.
5 max.
I've missed 0. Well, now I've missed 1. And it was bothering me. I should have just recorded with you last week. I brought the equipment to record.
Oh, you did?
I was in Atlanta. Yeah, but I just, with everything that was going on and finding the right space and time to do it was stressing me out. It doesn't mean that I couldn't do it. And I also was planning on doing it, because I wrote you and tried to set up a time to record, and you said, I'll take care of everything. And I thought that just meant, because usually I'm the one who edits the podcast, which there isn't really much editing, but you clean up the beginning and throw in the music. I just want to make sure that people know that this is not one of these shows where we go in and
Oh, yeah, it's live to tape.
sometimes Autumn says something dumb and I cut it out just to
you're-
preserve. I'm just protecting you is all. But that's just like you missing the show less than 5 times that's happened. But I thought that you meant that you would edit it and post it. And I said, all right, cool. And then I checked in with you later in the day and you said, no, I recorded something.
No,
I'm
the
done.
reason why I did that was because you said we should record a short little thing and take the week. And so I thought, got it. You relax.
I did
I'll
not
take
say
care of
that.
it.
I said that we should have recorded something earlier in the week, and I was lazy before the travel for the holidays.
Should we record a short little thing and take the week? I was like, yeah, I can do it.
Where is this? Where is this?
December 26th, Sunday, 11:31 a.m.
December 26th, Sunday, 11 whatever time you're saying.
Yeah. You said, what's your schedule today? I said, oh shit, it's Sunday. I forgot because I didn't know what day it was. I can do tonight. You said, damn, should we record a short little thing and take the week? Take the week. So I thought, but like take the week off. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yep.
I did write that. I don't remember writing that. Okay, you win.
Yeah. So that's why I did it. So I was like, got it. And you were stressed, because you said, it's okay. I'm in Atlanta, so I feel stressed about it. We should have done it before I left, but I was lazy. I was like, got it. Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of everything this week.
Okay, so I wrote something I don't even remember.
Okay.
I did say that. I'm looking at it. I apologize.
No problem.
Really should have recorded before I left.
Yeah. It's all right.
But
I mean, it was, the holiday week, and people understand you're allowed to, have that time with
But that was the one
family.
thing we had going for us. And I know something was posted, that you posted a thing, and thank you for doing that. But
Welcome. It was fun. I just rambled.
you also said the week before, at the end of that episode, that
Oh, right.
we'll be recording because we never miss a show. And that was weighing on my head too.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
And there are very few things, bigger picture in my life, that I'm consistent about. I'm consistently mediocre in my life. So that I can be proud of. But as far as this podcast goes, I was always very consistent with it. Mm-hmm. And once I get on a roll with things, the hardest part is getting started. And then something clicks into place once I've done a thing a certain number of times. And I think the OCD then kicks in, since I am obsessive compulsive. And then there's a feeling of dread that if I don't do this thing at this point, now something bad's going to happen. And maybe that's the motivation. But, like quitting smoking, I got one of those apps where it tells you how long it's been since you had your last cigarette or anything. You can, if you quit
right, yeah,
drugs or whatever. And looking at these numbers, because I do have, again, obsession with numbers and my OCD, at some point, before I even get to these numbers, there was something with smoking where the first few weeks are hard, and that's, physiological too, because you're addicted and your body's detoxing from it, and there's a pull to continue smoking. And then you get through that and you think, okay, well, maybe I can have a cigarette or something now. But by the time I got to that stage, the fact that I hadn't smoked in, say, 3 weeks meant something to me. I was like, all right, the streak has started and I'm not going to smoke any more cigarettes. And then I went into this phase where I would have dreams that I smoked cigarettes and I would be so disappointed in myself. So whatever that was, wherever that came from, it helped cement the fact that I wasn't going to have another cigarette. But once I finally put all the information into this app, and I did remember the time that I had my last cigarette, because I'm psychotic and just remember these things, I was able to gauge the amount of time that passed. And then looking at that, I liked watching the numbers increase. So at this point, it's been 3,227 days, 2 hours, 25 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Okay.
Which is 4,647,024 minutes, 77,450 hours, 461 weeks, 105 months, 8 years, 9 months since I had a cigarette. The quit time was March 3rd, 2013 at 12:33 p.m.
And that was because you got sick, right? Like you got the flu? And that sort of helped jumpstart you into quitting?
Yeah, I did. I got the flu and it had already been 2 weeks and I didn't feel like a cigarette. But once I felt better, I wanted one. Like it was still there. The pull was there. And I had to fight through that by going to Atlanta. This is not how I had to fight through it, but I was in Atlanta where you could still smoke in bars, and I was at a story and everyone was smoking and I was about to have a cigarette. And once I didn't and got through that night and was surrounded by it, I knew I could actually quit. But the point is, consistency for me is difficult to achieve. I think I have a desire to be consistent in my life. But I know how hard it is, so I don't actually commit to anything because I know that I probably won't be consistent in it. So doing this podcast and not missing an episode for almost 3 years, that meant something. And now the streak's been broken, and God knows what ill fate awaits.
Right. That was the only thing keeping the bad karma away.
I think that's a separate issue, the OCD.
Well, that's the OCD part.
So maybe we should, separate it. But
okay, but I do want to say, I feel like you're very consistent. I feel like you have no trouble with consistency.
Well, I'm sure there's a level of consistency.
You do many of the same things consistently.
I'm sure there's a level of consistency that I've set up for myself.
But anything that you want to change and continue to be consistent, or like you want to be consistent with, you have trouble starting those things?
Yes.
Like getting the ball rolling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I always have this idea that if I started going to the gym, I don't want to go to the gym. I'd never really wanted to go to the gym. At times I pretended I was a person who would go to the gym, or I could get into going to the gym. I don't think that's the case. And that's probably the problem to begin with, which is, why there wouldn't be consistency. But I say that if I actually started going and I went for 2 months straight, then I could fall into a groove, and I would say, okay, this is what I do now. I go to the gym. This is part of my life, and I know that it exists, but I never actually got to that place. But again, it's stupid because I didn't want to go to the gym. I wasn't a person who wanted to do it. so I didn't put forth the effort. But I'm curious, when you say I'm a very consistent person, what you mean by that.
Well, I feel like you are you when it seems like you do a lot of the same things. Like you don't vary from
So
those things.
I'm a safe, boring person.
I guess. I didn't say boring, but even for the things that you're not really happy about, like your eating patterns, do you know what I mean? Like you're consistent with that.
I consistently eat a shitload of sugar, which I have cut back on, by the way.
I was going to ask you how your eating was going.
The sugar I'm still consuming sugar, but it's not nearly as bad as it was.
Good. Do you feel any different?
I guess.
You feel
I do. No, I do feel as though my mood has improved.
Oh, good.
I really think it was taking a toll on my mood. It was zapping any goodness that existed, which is
like, was it spiking goodness and then it would crash?
No, I was just really fucking grumpy for a while, which I know is, part of how I can be normally, but this is going back a few episodes, but I was completely exhausted and my mood was deteriorated. So I
deteriorated.
I said it correctly. Deteriorated.
I know. It's just a funny word. It's
deteriorated.
Yeah, I think that you're pretty consistent in a lot of ways, not just with eating, but like, I don't know, you're consistent with your friendships. You're consistent with therapy. You're consistent with the show. You want that other show that you're on to be more consistent.
Oh yeah, that thing hasn't happened in a very long time.
Yeah, how long?
The Usual Rejects podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time we did an episode. Probably.
Was there a plan after the last one ended to get back together? Like, yep, we'll do the next one sometime.
Yeah, but it was never set. Like, we'll do it. Let's get back on track and do it every week. It was just this. We should do this again soon. And
why is it like that?
Well, I think one of the guys who runs the theater, he's been very, very busy, and it's zapping all of his time.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's just interesting. But I don't know. I think you're pretty consistent. You consistently...
Well, I feel as though there are many things in life that...
Soda water?
Yes, but this is more like falling into routines and habits and just... You're not wrong. That is a level of consistency, and it wasn't one that I was necessarily thinking of.
Okay.
When you bring it up, though, I think as a person, I guess I am relatively consistent in that you know what you're going to get. I feel as though... moods and things are all over the place, but that in itself is consistent. It's like he's consistently moody. And I guess I am a person who, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say necessarily. I'm consistent in that, are there surprises when you deal with me?
No.
I guess that's
the only people
thing.
That are surprised by your behavior are people that don't know you or don't try to know you.
All right, well, I'll take this as a person in existence and the way other people view me.
I think what you're talking about is getting started with something. It either snowballs and is consistent, right? Like, and continues, or it is like failure to launch or something, right? Like it just doesn't happen.
Sure. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anymore, quite honestly, when it comes to this episode. It was just born out of the fact that I felt bad that I fell off.
Yeah.
And I do think that there are certain things in life that you need to be consistent about if you're going to pursue them. And podcasting is certainly one of them, because there are people, as the other episode or the other show that we're talking about that I was on, it's pointless. You come back after several months and we got a new episode. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Maybe
if they're subscribed.
Yeah, it pops up if they're subscribed. And most people aren't subscribed. It's just one of those things that needs to be done. And for many endeavors in life, I feel as though That consistency is important, and consistency is not necessarily, it takes a lot of energy, and it's not necessarily something that I think or know that I can do. So when I do finally get on a roll with something and it falls off, I feel bad.
I was really consistent with my learning my French app. And it tells you like how many, like the streak that you're on. And man, I did it for almost a whole year straight and I've just fallen off. Like, nah. It's like once I missed the first day, I was like, meh, all right, I'll go back when I want. It's not that important.
Well, I think that's one of the important things when it comes to it is if you do fall off, and like, okay, well, I've done that once, so why not do it again? And then why not do it again?
Yeah. I don't know. I wish that my healthier habits were more consistent. And I really do think that like drinking messes that up for me. Not just drinking, because I didn't drink anything last night and I was really healthy all day. And then at 10:30, I like made nachos and had chocolate milk.
Well, I like that you're very proud that you didn't drink anything last night, which last night was not a special night. Last night was the day after New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah. I didn't go crazy on New Year's either. New Year's Eve. Sorry.
I was very good. I didn't have drinks on a night.
Well, what I'm saying is because, not just because, oh, I didn't drink last night. Isn't that a surprise? It was more that I ate garbage at night and it wasn't because I was tipsy.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's not good. I don't know. What I'm saying is like, I wish that sometimes if I'm in bed and I give in to the siren call of TikTok and I start watching TikToks and then I'm up for too long, I want to eat. And like TikTok makes me hungry. And I wonder if it's something about like what it does to your brain, like the serotonin it gives you. It's like, yeah, now eat too.
Maybe it's boredom. Maybe you're so bored by the TikTok videos.
Oh, I don't think so. Because TikTok ain't boring.
You're reminded of the direction that humanity is going, and it's depressing.
No, that's not what TikTok is.
TikTok is...
Don't besmirch TikTok.
TikTok is most definitely that.
No way. There's so many good things on there. I mean, there's a lot of shit and a lot of really bad stuff. But what's also cool is that like sometimes when things are really dumb and bad, other people respond to that and point out how dumb and bad it is. So it's really fun.
Oh,
to be, like,
good.
part
So
of that.
it's self-managing.
Mm-hmm.
There's built-in mechanisms. When someone puts something up that's not up to the low standards of TikTok, they get called out.
Just the low
for it.
standards of humanity.
I mean, humanity is consistently disappointing. I'll give you that. That's something that never changes.
Yeah.
There's a level of comfort in knowing, well, I'm not going to get too much out of humanity. Watch this. Watch this crescendo. What's the opposite of a crescendo? Decrescendo?
Decrescendo.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, thanks for letting me down.
Well, a crescendo is just like a big part, right? And so, I don't know. Is it just a rest? But decrescendo.
It's a decrescendo. Yeah, I knew that from my time playing the tenor saxophone. I should have remembered that. Anyway,
Middle school or high school?
Middle school, of course. And in high school, it was only marching band. I'm not going to put on that goofy fucking outfit. Middle
You could have been a marching band dork.
Middle school playing in
Lifelong
band,
friends.
being made fun of in band in middle school makes no sense. You're learning to read music, to play an instrument. Yeah. Once you get to high school, it's completely justified. You strap on that hat where the chin strap doesn't even go under your chin.
What about orchestra?
It goes under your,
you could have joined orchestra.
It goes under your... Orchestra was for stringed instruments.
No, but you could be a saxophone in an orchestra.
No, there's no saxophones in orchestras.
Yes, there are.
No, they're not.
There's wind instruments in orchestras.
There are no... Yes, there are. You're right that there are brass instruments, woodwinds.
Yeah,
do
the winds.
exist, but saxophones rarely.
Well, I don't mean in an orchestration. There'd be some like jazzy.
It's not there. It's not. There was no offering.
What's his name in the Saturday Night Live band?
So it was done. But I was
What's
saying,
that guy's name?
I don't know.
G.E. Smith.
How do you even know this?
G.E. Smith and the Saturday Night Live, because I was born in the right time to know that.
You're proud of this. I was born in the right time to know the specifics of Saturday Night Live, back when it was good, back when Will Ferrell was talking into a little tiny.
No, that was not Will Ferrell's time, idiot.
Back when
Phil Hartman. How about Phil Hartman? How about Jan Hooks?
Okay, that's fine.
In your fucking face.
SNL consistently letting people down. And consistently fooling them into thinking that it used to be better.
It did. There were periods of time that were better than others.
It's a very strange.
The Will Ferrell time is also a magical time with Sherry O'Terry and like what's his name that he's Chris Kattan that I know is like an absolute weirdo in real life, but Mango was funny, and weird.
Okay, well that's a different conversation. We can talk about the merits of
SNL.
Saturday Night Live at a different time. As I was saying previously, the decrescendo into complete disappointment, humanity heading that way.
I hate that you do this because humanity is not only disappointing.
Why are people making TikToks? What's the motivation behind it?
Community?
No.
Acknowledgement?
No. Well, they want their own acknowledgement, yes.
No, I mean like connection. That's why I do it.
People want views and likes. This is what they want. This is what drives people.
Because maybe they connect with someone else. And also it's funny to see the comments where it's like this woman, like posts some life hack about, her kitty litter or something and it's weird or it's funny or something. And then she gets comments like your face is too long.
I think
like that's the disappointment in humanity. But also her pointing it out is kind of like, oh, cool. Now I'm connected with her. I didn't care about her cat video, whatever, but now I'm connected with her because she's pointed out the ridiculousness of the, you know what I mean? So it's like a little bit meta.
I think the dignity of humanity is held together with twine and scotch tape. It was always very precarious. And the moment
it depends on your definition of dignity.
And the moment you gave people easy access to at least you gave them the thought that they could be famous. That was it. It all came unraveled and things started falling apart.
No. Listen, I'm sure that's some people, right? But the majority of the people that are on there, I mean, listen, maybe I'm skewed because everybody's TikTok is different, right? Your algorithm is going to be different for everyone. So I'm seeing things that are stupid. I'm seeing things that are interesting. At least to me, I'm seeing things that are, that help, that teach me something about, history I didn't know about. Well, it's fun. I mean, but, like my dad's TikTok is full of like really huge breasted women like dancing and stuff. And he's like, I don't understand what this TikTok is. I'm like, it's because your algorithm knows it's like you're a man and you stay and watch those things. And so it gives you more. And he's like, I said, when you see those, you have to swipe up. You have to swipe past them quickly if you want them to go away.
But he doesn't want
or go in there and say like, don't show me stuff like this. And he was like, but I like it.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right, then.
It's very
so your
telling.
TikTok. So one person's TikTok is going to be like superficial and stupid. And there's not going to be a lot of understanding about anything. And then somebody else is going to be full of like craft hacks and DIYs. And somebody else is going to be like MAGA,
You're really an advocate for it. You protect it. And I know that I go out.
What I don't like is that it's just written off as absolute garbage because there is absolute garbage out there.
I think there's so much energy put into it that it distracts from. I mean, this is where I hit a wall and this is where you can challenge me. Well, what should the energy be put into? Because I'm not one of these people that's like work. Work is what makes a good person. Fuck that. I don't think that. I think that's a strange construct that people brought into that working defines you and your worth and value. And if you're not working, the fact that people have to work their whole lives and hopefully have enough money so they can retire and enjoy their bodies turning into piles of goo and their bones disintegrating. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Did you enjoy your life? Were your golden years wonderful? if you were lucky enough to have enough money. Like, I think
this is a concept that I mean, I know that we've talked about stuff like that before and touched on that, but like someone was talking about that on TikTok.
Well, that's a very common stance to take.
The person was playing all these different characters of like Boomer, Gen X, Gen Z, Millennial.
And you laughed and you thought this.
No, I wasn't laughing. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like Boomers mad at Millennials for complaining and Gen Z's explaining, well, in your day, you know, in your mid-20s, you could afford a house or in your 30s or whatever. And that people of that same age are unable to do that right now. And
well, all of that is true. And if people want to get America back on track, you need to make things accessible. The fact that so many things...
Boomers are like, stop complaining, and Gen Z. It seemed like Gen X was playing the part of like the bridge between Millennial and Boomer, and Gen Z was just saying a lot of like, it's all broken and fuck it, let's just let it burn to the ground.
We are kind of at that point.
I agree. That's what I mean. So but I think TikTok is interesting.
Yeah, but I think that TikTok and all of this shit contributes to it. Is because now people, that's enough to them. I said my piece. Hopefully I'll get my like. I've said
maybe
this
they
a
just had a
million
thought
times.
and they wanted to convey it in a creative way.
Okay, why does your thought need to be seen by millions of people? That's
It doesn't need to be seen, and it normally isn't.
That's my problem with it. But there's the hope. The hope is there. People don't do it. If that didn't exist, if you said there's never, ever, ever 0% chance that you'll ever be liked or seen in any viral level where you have shitloads of people, people wouldn't do it. Some people would, but most people wouldn't.
I would, because I would send it to my friends.
Okay.
Like if I was making these things, if I was making something and this wasn't an option, this platform wasn't an option, then I would probably just text it to my friends.
And there are people who exist like that. I can't, I make these umbrella statements that claim.
Hey, look at your friend Dave.
He does stuff for himself, yes, and he sends it out. And
he sends it to people. He's not on the tuck or the gram, I guess.
There's value there, but Dave also did at some point. This is like what you're seeing is the remnants of a supernova.
A dying star.
Yeah. It's like at some point he wanted to have people saying that's Dave. I won't say his last name, but that's Dave. Well, we said his last name before. I think when we played his music.
I think you did too.
But whatever. People can dig that up if they really care. Because he came to New York and tried to be a comedian. And I it's a complicated issue and we're way off the consistency. Though I am consistent in my views on this. I think I hold a consistency in my standards, unreasonable or not, of how I expect people to act or would like people to act, at least.
It's weird that you are the only person that controls the metric of like what's acceptable.
I just want people to be self-aware and strive to be better. But
you assume that people aren't self-aware.
Well, they're self-aware to the point that they think, how can I mold and shape myself?
No, you're projecting that onto them.
I'm not projecting anything onto these people.
No, I'm not saying that you're always wrong, but I'm saying for you to say people that are doing this thing are doing it because of this reason and they need to be more it's like you don't know what their reasoning is. You don't know whether they're self-aware or not. You don't know whether they're just doing it because they're mindless or because they're like, yeah, I am this person, and so that's what I'm doing. You have no idea.
They mostly just want to be adored. They want to be fawned over.
How do you know that?
Because you're
assuming.
This is the driving force of all of these platforms.
Says who? Says you. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Is that for some reason, this goes back to your thing about you being like the most important person in the world and also the least important person in the world.
Well, it's because
you are both at the same time.
It's because if you ask me in this situation, what do you actually want people to be and do? I remember, and it's constantly in my brain, that none of it fucking matters. Like, what do I fucking care? Because we are insignificant.
Right. Let people do whatever they want.
We're wholly insignificant with this giant universe, and it doesn't matter. But then you shift gears and you get into the zone of, okay, but we are beings that have evolved to think critically and are self-aware, and we have all these tools at our disposal, and this is how we decide to use them. Is for
I think it's almost like a creative
for the pursuit
boom.
of money, fame, and power.
No, you don't know that. It could just be someone trying to express some creativity in some way.
Well, my self-righteousness is consistent. I am a consistent person, I realize.
See, you are.
Overall.
You really are.
And
I think that's anybody trying to start something new. It's difficult to it's difficult to form a habit.
I just find
especially if it's a habit that's like something that the opposite of it, or what you were doing previously, or the thing you're trying to change was easier or like more fun or less healthy or something.
I just find it to be very cheap. The path that so many people take for these things. When I talk about this pursuit, we do this show, obviously we present our thoughts, and I would like an audience to be big. I would like people to listen to this. If we had 0 listeners every week, would I continue to do this? Probably not. And I know that I always don't put in my best effort. Like, meaning there are times when maybe there's something going on in my life where I'm in a certain place.
Well, it's anyone with anything they do.
Yeah, but you could take the time to get into the right mindset and then do the show properly and then go back. And, I'm not the best at doing that. And so sometimes, like, whatever, you're going to get what you get. But I think that there's this idea, and we're not there, and I don't even know what it would look like. But you strive to do or create something that, and this is all arbitrary stuff, and again, it's me making the rules, but has enough value and meaning for a listener in this instance, or a viewer in other instances, that makes them question themselves, their place, and what they can do to be better at living.
Maybe they're happy with the way that they're living.
Well, everyone.
I would rather our audience find connection and community.
You like the idea of like having groups where everyone goes to chat. You see what that devolves into? It devolves into absolute trash.
I'm not I'm not for that. I mean, if they want to do that, that's fine. But what I'm saying, that's not. I don't mean as a group of people connecting with each other, but I mean us speaking openly and honestly about our thoughts and feelings and experiences, and someone else maybe feeling alone in their own thoughts, or like guilty for thinking something, or even the way that you tend to be like more judgmental. Like, maybe somebody else feels guilty about that, and they hear you doing it and they think, oh, okay, cool, I'm not alone. I'm not a horrible person because I think or act this way. It's like, oh yeah, other people are like this too, and that's okay. And Greg's not an asshole, so it's cool.
Or he is an asshole, and I don't want to be anything like him, and therefore I will then think about my place in the world and do the opposite. That's got value. Okay,
and that's
to me.
all right. So we both want something different, but maybe as the two of our things come together, it makes something.
That's what I'm saying. But let's say this became the biggest podcast in the world. I would then be angry and resentful that this many people knew who I was.
Oh my God, you're like Kurt Cobain then. Because wasn't that his whole thing? Was like he wanted to be like the Beatles, and then he was like, this is too weird, famous, stupid.
Well, that's another thing that there's consistency in my life over, is this confusion about what the fuck I actually want. When it comes,
you're such an opposite person. It's funny.
Well, there's a drive when you're doing something creative and you're putting it out there. There's a drive to have people consume it. You want people to interact with it and see it and hear it, and you want them to take something away from it. Or from it. That's what I just said, right? You want whatever.
Take something away from it.
Yeah, you want something.
Take away something.
Whatever.
With it. Yeah.
It's all falling apart. Now nobody's going to take anything away from this episode. But you want them to think, possibly, when it's over, and reevaluate and feel something. And I think my problems with TikTok is it's just disposable trash. Like, quick little hits, like
oh yeah,
and then the people who are creating those things don't give a shit about anything I just said. They just want the likes, the views, the money that comes in from it. Hopefully get cast in a new movie, since that's now how casting happens. You don't have to act. You just need to have a lot of fucking followers.
I post things and I don't hope that I'm cast in a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing it for that reason.
If would it bother you if you had millions of followers on TikTok? Is that something you would like?
Yeah. It would probably drive me to be more creative if I had more response to it. Not to like, not so that I would gain fame, but just to be like, oh, people are enjoying some brand of humor or some product that not literal like marketing product, but just whatever the content that I'm making. People seem to be interested in it. So no, I should, lean into that more. And right now, like when Vine was happening, fucking loved Vine. And I didn't have like a ton of followers or anything, but I loved Vine so much. And it really was like the perfect little spot for me at that time.
You did love Vine.
I loved Vine. Vine was amazing.
It's strange
Vine was awesome because it was so like people were so funny and so creative. It was really like, TikTok gives the person, TikTok is like the Costco, right? And Vine is like the Trader Joe's. People can make a meal from both places, but the restriction of the Trader Joe's makes someone more creative. And I think the restriction that Vine had, which was because it didn't have as much editing software, it didn't have like filters were barely a thing. I think it was only on Snapchat at the time. You could add music at some point. It was always really short. You had to fit this thing that you were trying to either convey or the joke in this like tiny amount of time. You didn't have the 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 3-minute option like you do on TikTok. I don't know. It was just really.
I don't know any of the. I didn't know there were these options. I've never looked at the TikTok interface. I have no clue.
It was such a magical
What you're talking about with Vine, though, is fine because it does offer these restrictions, but it shouldn't be the end all be all, which I think is what TikTok has become, where you are now forging new celebrities from this medium that should exist on its own for what it is. Instead
new celebrity is
no, I mean it's starting
with a lower, not even like a lowercase c, but like that little miniature sort of.
I mean, this idiot. There's this idiot, and I can't remember her name now.
Bella Thorne.
With New Year's Eve, I was mostly watching Cobra Kai and eating hot wings, and
awesome.
And then 10 minutes before, it's like, all right, switch over to the thing to watch.
That's what I did too.
You switch over.
I was watching 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days.
So, you put on the one with the Dick Clark's Ryan Seacrest thing.
Ew.
And then the person they have interacting with the crowd's like, who the fuck is this? And I look into this person, it's just some YouTuber star. And she's insufferable. She's annoying as fuck. You can tell she's full of herself. You can tell she thinks she's the most amazing thing in the world. So to say that celebrities aren't being forged out of this, or media personalities.
Yeah, but you didn't know who she was?
I didn't. But then I looked into it. It's like, this is where these people are coming from now. The skills that used to need to come along with this are now, doesn't matter because you've got the followers. And, this is my problem. And this was a problem before social media and TikTok. And it's strange that the show is taking this turn, but whatever. This is where we are. It existed before. There are people who viewed things like movies and TV to a lesser extent. And TV in a weird way had its golden age come about where prestige TV was later on, where TV at first was disposable, commercially driven content. And it wasn't supposed to be art. But, there were people who thought that there was a responsibility by a creator to have a message that was worthwhile. Movies, obviously, give some room for that. But for the most part, you get Hollywood studios churning out shit that people will go see just because it makes money. And there's nothing wrong with, there's some people who hate every single movie that comes out. I'll watch movies if they're entertaining. It's like, okay, that was fun. There's still... It stirs something, though, inside where, you know, who's the one who blows shit up? What director who did the Transformers movies?
Michael Bay.
Yeah. It's like, okay, Michael Bay exists and there's resentment towards Michael Bay because he's working within the medium and he's very successful within the medium and he does this certain thing very well. Mm-hmm. But that thing isn't, quote, worthy, unquote. And, you know, it's pretentious to set those standards. And I do realize when I'm making these arguments throughout this episode and throughout my life that I probably do sound self-righteous and pretentious quite often. And I try not to go too far with it because it can lead to misery with creative people. I know people who just fucking hate every single thing that comes out. And
well, I mean, to be so critical, it just stops you in your place because then.
Well, it's like, what do you like?
What's that?
It's like the question is, what do you like? And, you know, those people quite often have answers to it, but for the most part, it's hard for them to say, what's something that you would actually like? And, you know, it becomes a bit arbitrary, their response. I think with there was always this battle going on, though, and making money was the driving force for things that we would say didn't meet the standard that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But now we're at the point where it's been so fucking watered down.
Yeah.
So
everything's a money grab.
No, it's not even a money grab. Now it's just a straight up fame grab. And that's why I constantly return to that argument with it. Because now you take the money away from it too. And you've just got people who so desperately, I know that money can be involved with it, but I don't think that's the main reason people get into it when they try to become social media stars. And
so, I mean, when someone tries to be a social media star, that's a different thing.
But let me finish the thought quickly.
All right, I'm sorry.
So you have people who are getting into it just because they want the fame, and it's easier access than it's ever been. And, you know, you can say that with movies and TV, people wanted the fame. There are people who get into it because they want to act and they want to create good content, but there's always been the people who just want to get into it because they do want some level of success, fame, and I guess money usually came along in people's minds with being a movie star. And then those people were then monetized by, you know, studios or whatever the medium was. So then there was always money involved at some point. We're at the point, though, where all these people have such access and there's such a desperate grab for fame that the easiest and most shallow way to make money off of it is just to turn to them. And you say that these people aren't becoming celebrities, but they're starting to cast them in movies because they don't fucking care if the content's good. If it gets people watching it, they're going to watch it. People know who this person is.
They're not casting them like in the starring role.
There was this one movie, there was some, I don't know their names. So this is where, you know, I need to do some research and so I can be better informed. But yeah, there was some girl who was cast in some movie where the roles were reversed. There was a remake of a movie and where the dude, but anyway, it was shit. It was absolute shit.
If you don't know who it is, then I can't help you.
Well, it happened.
Okay.
It happened.
Who was it?
I don't know.
A YouTube person?
I don't know.
Okay.
You had a thought, so.
It's way gone. I think that this is not anything. I mean,
Addison Rae cast in She's All That.
I don't know who Addison Rae is.
TikTok star Addison Rae cast in She's All That remake.
All right. Well, it sucked, right?
It did stink, but I think this is the direction we're going. The battle existed. It was always.
And she's hot. All right. So there's plenty of people that are making content that are not, you know, beautiful. Right. And so I don't think that those people, and listen, the money that you're getting through TikTok, I mean, listen, okay, you make one video you make one TikTok and for some reason it blows up, right? You get like 15, K likes, and then you get a ton of new followers. And then because you're not a business, and you didn't get into it because, this is going to be my career, right? Then you just continue with your dumb life, and then you make things every once in a while, and it's not like you're making a ton of money from that. You know what I mean? But if you say something or if you post something that maybe has some meaning for you, or is a story that other people have experienced and they feel less alone, and so you communicate with them and you talk to them in your comments, then that's cool. That's great. You're not doing that for money. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's lots of different circles within TikTok, and they even say like, hey, if you've made it to this side of TikTok, right? Because once you start watching those videos, then all of a sudden you get more of those types of things or whatever. And so it's different for everybody. And so I don't think that, I mean, not just TikTok, but even YouTube. I mean, YouTube, I think, is actually a way where people can make money. I think a little bit easier than TikTok. TikTok is quick, disposable. I know that people, I guess, are stars on TikTok, but even like Instagram model, like there's more money to be made through Instagram, is my understanding, and YouTube than there is TikTok.
Yeah.
I think that YouTube is something that's also been almost corrupted in a way that we were talking about with reality shows. You know, it used in 2009 or something, or 2010 when YouTube started. I think it's when YouTube started. That's, you know, people, it was a more authentic place because it wasn't, you know, saturated with people that know how to work the YouTube system to make money from it.
All I'm saying, like, you're talking about these people making money, and if it's difficult, I don't necessarily care if they make money. I don't necessarily care if they're
success. I meant that as like a fame thing, you know?
Yeah, and I don't necessarily care if they're famous. I mean, obviously I do, but it's only because at this point, the only way to get... Okay, let me just start over here for a second. Much of the stuff that's being produced and pushed out is crap. It's always been crap. And then it's going to continue to be crap. But it's harder to get away from that crap because there is such an oversaturation of people trying to make it. So when I say that, you know, they're just out for fame, this is where this comes into play. Okay. Because it's this drive for something so superficial. I just want to be famous. That's all. That's you don't have thoughts. You don't have a.
That is a small percentage of people who post on TikTok.
I think it's the high percentage of people.
Absolutely not. That's from someone who doesn't watch TikTok.
I think that there are people who obviously put thought into the
I send
content.
you really good TikToks.
I think there are people who put thought into their content. Making umbrella statements and lumping everyone together is not a fair thing for me to do. But I think that there are more people than not who just get into this because they want to be known. They want the fame. And then you've got the lazy gatekeepers who greenlight things that can put it on a bigger stage, who just look and say popular, here you go. Then you look at the mediums that actually lend themselves to creating things that hit on what I said before, that I wish we saw more of.
What you're talking about is the movie industry.
I'm not just talking about movies. I'm not just talking about movies.
I don't know what my opinion of what you're saying
books.
is. You're
Look,
talking
you want to
about
write books?
movies.
You want a book now? Oh, God, you got to have your fucking social media followers. Good luck getting your book published. If I
don't know anything about books.
If it's the greatest thing that you've ever read in your life, it doesn't matter because you don't have enough followers. So this
but you can self-publish.
That's a joke. People laugh at people who self-publish. My book on Amazon. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Whether or not we should still be working under a system where other people, you know, lend credibility to your work or not.
I don't think so, Greg, because people put those books, they self-publish them on Amazon, and then you can get them on Audible, and then they make money.
It's still just about making money at this point. I don't care if you about making money.
Well, I don't mean about money. All right, well, then more people see it. It gets noticed. People are interested in it. It doesn't have to be like Penguin published.
The dislike for all of it just comes from that, from what I said. I realize.
But what I'm saying to you is like, what you're not talking about TikTok. You're talking about like the movie industry.
No, where I'm talking about
where the movie industry only puts their money into something that they know they're not gonna like. Hey, maybe it'll be a success, but
it's TikTok.
We're gonna gamble.
It's not just movies. It's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all social media's fault at this point. Whether or not it was intended, they lent themselves to easy access to these things that these plebeian minds wanted.
Yes, but that's only a portion of the content that's put out on those platforms. The rest, there's so many other aspects.
Well, I
of the
can't
content.
engage in any of it. I can't support any of it because it is the reason that we're getting nothing but junk set our way these days. It's always been a battle.
You know, the reason why we're getting junk is because the people in charge are cowards and afraid of doing anything interesting or interesting, so that might not make as much money as if it was just watered down for the general
and
public.
that's always been the battle, and it's now just the
people
tide.
used to take gambles on stuff like that, and now they don't. And it's not because of TikTok.
That's always
TikTok is the weirdest place that you can go for things. Besides Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there's the other side of the argument that before it was just gatekeepers and people's work couldn't be seen. And I do think that early on, like Vine, I understand the reason you liked Vine because it wasn't super popular. And the first people to get on Vine were people probably who wanted to work within those limitations and make funny content or good content. But then at some point, it's all flooded with the other people who come in, and it's hijacked and ruined like most things in life. And that's
TikTok's not like that.
My consistency is my cynicism. Motivation.
YouTube's not like that either. I don't know what I think that you really. Let me just tell you, I really think you're coming at this from an uneducated angle.
I don't think it's complete
because I consume these platforms, and I feel like I have a better understanding of not necessarily of what it's producing.
Okay,
so I'm right. You're wrong.
Well, I think the problem comes from there's I know that I dismiss a lot of it. I will give you that. And I'm not saying that there isn't good content on there, even though I've said there isn't good content on there. It's just because I come from a place where I like longer.
I don't care. Well, obviously I care.
Well, no, I like longer form content, which is like there's no place for it now because we've got these platforms.
Quick, moving on. Quick.
Yes, and everything has moved along with that, and there's an oversaturation, and there's no appetite.
That's not true. I watch 4-hour-long videos on YouTube. Longer than the movie it's reviewing. I'll watch it over and over again.
And then it's created an unrealistic standard by industries and the money makers above.
What are you talking about?
Well, you have to have a certain number of followers if you want anything to be done in this life, even though that your work has nothing to do with the social media platform.
That's a different thing.
I know that it's a different thing, but I'm just explaining to you where this dislike comes from, and whatever goodness was in these platforms to begin with is long gone because now it's just filled with termites.
Incorrect.
It's like a fucking termite horde coming through to eat a piece of rotten wood. And
the people, the old men and the afraid old men and women in the big industries, those are the people that you're talking about, not the creators.
I'm talking about it all.
No,
you're just
about wrong.
Humanity.
I'm sorry to tell you.
I
would tell you if I feel like you had a point. And I guess in some ways, like I'm sure what you're saying isn't completely wrong. There's plenty of vapid, people without any actual creativity, just, trying to work, like I said, the system of some platform to make money. I'm not saying that you're wrong in that way, but what you're actually referring to is not the people on the platform, but the people who look to the platform, and what they're curating out of it is maybe the garbage.
Just in general, it's a shift in everyone's attention to this, and this is what people respect now, and I think that's what I don't like. That's it. That's all.
All right. Well, you've said your piece, and
I'm not saying I'm right. Look, when we talk about this,
you're definitely not right.
As we talk about this, I know and I see the holes in my argument.
Okay.
It's just as a
So normally what you should do is like, maybe you have a point, not just continue to like agree with the thing that you're kind of disagreeing with yourself about.
no, I said that you had a point, and I said that there are people, sure, and I know that there's good things being
Don't
made.
give me the little. You say, you know what? I actually don't know enough about it. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am uneducated.
It's just become a piece of the game that you have to play that I don't have any desire to play.
Yeah, and that's not TikTok, Instagram,
It's all of
YouTube's
that.
fault. No, it's the people outside of that. Look, like I said, it's the people outside of it that are looking to that as anything. What those platforms should actually be is what normal people use them for, which is just like I said, community, humor, comedy, escapism,
Sure, but there's so many people.
serotonin boosts.
Yes, there's
you
so
know,
many people being
other
driven.
people who are depressed and like show themselves like, hey, I'm coming out of this depressive episode.
There's so
and,
many people
here's
driven.
my house and how it looks. I'm gonna try whatever. And you're like, oh my God, I thought that I was a loser for behaving like that. And it turns out that I'm not alone. Do you know what I mean? And that's what our show, I hope, does for people. It's
Yeah,
not
well-
to say that we're depressed and you are too, but just to say like other people think the same way as we do.
There's so many people driven for whatever these platforms provide that we're never getting out of it.
Okay, well,
So
what a-
I dislike the people that are lazy who turn to it to influence what's going
Good.
on
That's fine.
with bigger, higher budget, more meaningful creative projects. I hate the people who turn to it because they're so desperate for attention. I hate that it's become a piece of the game that needs to be played. And within all of that, the people who are creating things within the confines of the rules set forth by the social media platforms, they get, washed away in my cynicism. And that's where I admit that, you're right in the things you say about some of the content there. I just can't get past it because I'm miserable, and that's the consistency.
you're consistently
that's
enjoy not enjoying things.
that's where my consistency comes from. I can't
What a
bring myself.
curmudgeon.
I can't
What
bring.
are you going to be like when you're like 65 years old?
Nothing.
Is it going to get worse?
No, it's how could it? Well, let's see how things. Let's see how things progress when people are living in metaverses, and you have to, in order to have any kind of interaction or meeting.
See, I'm not going to agree with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'm not saying that.
I'm not
We're
saying-
not living our lives through these platforms. I mean, some people definitely are, but lots of people just have a healthy relationship with these stupid things.
I don't know if
and it
staring
brings
at them for
joy, it
hours
brings
at a
them
time-
connection.
I don't know if sitting there and staring at them for hours at a time is healthy, but I
No,
hear
it's
what you're
not.
saying. I
I
hear
think most people do that.
I hear what you're saying. And
All right.
but when you ask me, though, am I going to continue to get, as things are now,
Right.
no. But all this is going to continue to evolve. So therefore, maybe the more isolated it all makes me feel, the more miserable I could become, depending on what direction the future goes.
Well, there will always be people from our generation until they all start dying, right? That, might buck against something like that. So I don't know. I don't have such a bleak view of everyone just being, like sheep, or lemmings or something. Like, yes, just follow me to the cliff. Just keep walking. No big deal. I mean, I don't know. I don't think people are going to be like that.
It rewards the people who are motivated to put themselves out there and punishes the people who probably could create good content but are a little more reserved and don't want to play that game.
Okay.
And that's the only thing
Sure.
that
I'm sure.
seemingly
Okay. That is a
exists.
flaw in the system.
And I know that's not
All right,
the
I have to
problem. I know it's not the problem of the people who create it. But
Yeah. But you were saying that earlier. You were like, they're idiots.
well, whatever. I'm also consistent in my extreme
True.
views. This show had nothing to really do with consistency. I don't know how we got on.
That's all right. It was fun, though.
I don't know how we got on that topic, but
It was awesome. I loved it.
I feel like we've talked about it before.
Nah.
Anyway, okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely 2022. And stay safe, please. Go to hoffandpepper.com. Use our code OneTopic15 for some really great hot sauce from hoffandpepper.com. 15% off. Do it. Okay. Love you. Goodbye.
Consistently bad in closing the show.
Yeah, I know.